Hello, my little ponies, and welcome back to some more Rune Factory 5. Azura is here too. Hello, Azura.
Hi.
Hey, Azura. What is the weirdest movie you have ever seen?
Woohoo! My day is made! Woohoo! My day is made!
Probably Mulholland Drive.
He keeps corn. Interesting.
It is a very... it is just a very bizarre movie that kind of feels like it's
Whoa!
two separate movies
Whoa!
with kind of parallel plots, but you watch one and then the other.
Interesting.
Whoa!
Here you go.
Yeah, it's,
Sissy, you're full of energy.
Whoa!
it's...
Whoa! Whoa!
See, I was gonna say Labyrinth.
Whoa!
I don't think I've
There
actively
you go.
seen that. Like, rather, let me rephrase that. I don't think I've actively watched that. Someone has watched it while I was present, but I didn't really pay attention because it seemed boring, honestly.
Whoa!
It's not boring. Okay, it's a movie that came out in, what, the 80s or something? So it's old, so it has remnants of, like, hey, it's an older movie, it's not thing. Oh, but it is humorous and does have, like, jokes scattered throughout in a very
Here you go.
memorable movie. And we should totally watch it.
Whoa!
Okay, let me rephrase that. I found it boring, and this would be the third time someone was trying to force me to watch it. I would just
Okay, you
rather
just
not.
said that you haven't actually seen it, but yet you know
Yeah,
that it's boring
said
because
someone
you were
was
paying
trying to-
attention.
I
Because you're
found
paying
it boring, so I stopped paying attention. It's not
Uh.
going to seem less boring now.
Got it. Just because you think off of an onset that it's boring, you should never have to watch it. Got understood.
What?
So when I do that
No, I
same
didn't say
mentality
other people
against...
said it was boring. I
No,
found it
I
boring.
didn't say other people. I said just because you think that it's boring off of the first moment of watching it, you shouldn't have to be forced to watch the rest of it. I understand and hope that you won't get upset when I employ the same thought process against you with things that you like that I find boring.
Yeah, most of the things that I like. Yes, that is what you do, yes.
Time to eat!
I can tell that we're off to an
Delicious.
absolutely thrilling start here.
Delicious!
Well,
What's a pizza topping that most people hate that you secretly love?
sorry,
What,
what's a
pineapple?
what?
What's a pizza topping that most people hate but you secretly love? Although if you say it out loud here, then it's no longer a secret, so... meh.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the thing is, like, most of the stuff I get on pizza is stuff you find on regular pizzas.
Pineapple?
Yeah,
A lot of people
pineapple
love
is
to
the
meme
closest,
about
but I
hating
don't think
pineapple.
people actually hate it. I think that's just a meme.
I mean, if
I-
people are just memeing and don't actually hate it, people have gone really aggressive for the sake of their meme. People
Yes.
have... I've, like, literally, like, tried to be friends with people, and they're like, ew, you like pineapple? Stay away from me! And then, like, started insulting me for liking pineapple on pizza.
Whoa!
So if it's all just for the sake of a joke, then people are taking the joke
Here you
way
go.
too far. But also, I like anchovies on pizza, but that's not really a secret.
Whoa!
You know,
Whoa!
I think, like, the thing with anchovies is I know it used to be, like, a very, shall we say, the most popular, unpopular
There you go.
pizza topping, but so many pizza places don't even offer it anymore.
True.
Whoa!
And the only reason why I started getting anchovies on my pizza is because whenever I'd go out with my dad for dinner, or, you know, say family dinners while I was growing up and whatever, if we were going to a pizza place,
Whoa!
my dad would steal some slices of my pizza. And I didn't like that, so I wound up finding
go.
out that the only topping that he would not eat is anchovies. So every time we went out, I'd get an anchovy pizza. So I could make sure that he wouldn't steal it. And I just wound up liking anchovies on pizza.
Whoa!
Because it was synonymous with actually being able to eat my own food.
Gotcha.
Whoa!
Here you go.
Uh,
Whoa!
window seat or aisle seat?
Whoa!
Context.
There is no context. I'm imagining, say, on a plane. Or, like, a bus or something.
Whoa! Whoa!
Here you go.
I mean, I guess by default, window seat. Almost every time I've flown on a plane, it's been with my mom, and she requires the aisle seat. Though, as years have gone by, and I've started really developing some of the
There you go.
digestive issues that she has. It's probably out of necessity aisle seat, but I usually can be fine just tucked away in the corner, so...
I like the window seat. I like being next to a wall.
Whoa!
I still remember when I was coming back home after having surgery
go.
and all that. I was supposed to have the middle seat in the group of 3. Like, I'm like, you know, not able to walk so well, we'll say.
Whoa!
And so I go,
Whoa!
so, you know, I get onto the plane and then I see, oh look, yep, there's 2 other people in the row taking up the aisle seat and the middle seat. And they have decided between themselves that they don't want the window seat, that I should have it. So I'm just like, okay.
Whoa!
So during a time when, and the reason why I was walking through the airport instead of using like a wheelchair after surgery is because sitting down hurt. Walking didn't hurt so much.
I see you're full of energy.
Whoa!
Here you go.
So then I had to sit for like 8 hours on a plane
Whoa!
in pain.
Whoa!
Yeah, the little seat cushion thing that I was given didn't
Whoa!
help much, especially after it deflated after, you know, so many
There you go.
hours. But anyway,
Whoa!
what would be your elevator pitch to aliens for why they should abduct you?
Whoa!
Please get me out of here. The rest of this species is crazy. Just leave, don't
Here
come
you go.
back, and please take me with you.
Whoa!
I'm just imagining someone doing the, I'm the very model of a modern Major General.
Whoa!
That'd be a very good way of driving the way without you.
Whoa!
God.
Whoa!
Seeing this just reminds me of an assignment, a project? Not a project, an assignment that I did
Here
in
you go.
school, you know, ages and ages and ages ago. Talking about, like, oh, how to tell if something is living versus non-living, like there are, you know, like, oh, like a boulder going down a hill, that's moving, so that has one of the qualities of living, but, like, etc., etc., etc. And then there's, like, an essay? Maybe. Write out a response question of, hey, what if aliens came to Earth and they thought that cars were living creatures? They move, they sleep, they require food, aka gas, you know, they expel waste product. They have a lot of the signs of something that is alive, but they're not actually alive. What would you do to convince an alien that a car is not actually a living creature?
Whoa!
And I feel like we're supposed to write, like, maybe a paragraph or multiple paragraphs. I wrote 1 sentence and got it marked yes.
Whoa!
Like, I got the credit for it, for Do you want to give a stab at it and try to say what you'd say to try to convince some aliens?
I already did.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear you.
You didn't hear me for the 30-second monologue I gave.
No, I didn't.
The long and short of it is basically warning them away from the planet. Everyone here is crazy. Just please take me with you when you go.
No, this was me asking a completely different question.
Oh.
Did you not
Okay,
hear
so-
me for the past 2 minutes?
I guess not. It sounded like you were still giving your explanation for the previous question. I didn't hear you transition to the
No.
question.
I did a project assignment, a question, whatever. I did a thing in school that was like how to tell if things are alive versus not alive. Like what signs
Okay.
that certain things have that tell us if they are living. And then the question was, what if like an alien came to Earth and thought that cars were living creatures?
Time to eat.
Like they consume fuel, they, you know,
Time to eat.
they sleep in whatever. They expel waste, they move, etc. If an alien came to Earth and thought that cars were living creatures, what would you tell the alien to convince them that they're not?
Oh. Well, unfortunately, the sort of explanation that I can come up with is becoming more and more irrelevant with self-driving vehicles. Namely, the fact that without the intervention, of a human specifically to get in, activate it, and control it,
Here you go.
any vehicle is basically just inert. It does nothing. It does not have a function unless it is, being used by a human. Unfortunately, with the self-driving car stuff, humans are becoming less relevant in that. And quite frankly, once they become, fully self-driving and all that,
There
it's
you
just
go.
like, what does mean that they're not, living?
So,
Certainly can't find a reason.
I had simply answered it with, I'd bring the alien to a garage with, quote, sleeping, unquote, cars, and tell them to, babysit the cars. I gave a
Here
bit
you
of a
go.
tongue-in-cheek, a bit of a jokey answer, and then the teacher marked it correct.
I mean, I don't know that would be sufficient, though.
I mean, living creatures, generally speaking, can only sleep for so long. There aren't that many circumstances in which a creature can sleep for more than 24 hours.
Here you go.
So especially if you have the alien, in a parking garage, that's not going to be, basically just have a lot of off cars, and have them watch the cars over the extended period and see, oh, hey, they don't wake up on their own. They would only wake up, when a person comes in and wakes them up, and then they go. It's either that, or teach the alien how to drive.
That might
It's
work,
hard-
yes.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Which I think might actually be an even funnier answer. Would actually work. Okay, new question time. what non-dairy item do you think would make a great alternative milk?
Whoa!
Like, do they just mean, like, non-dairy milks? Or do they want people to say, oh, orange juice?
Whoa!
Here you
Use
go.
orange juice instead of milk. Why did he just give me a weed? Is he all out of scales?
Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Here you go.
No, Riker just randomly gave me a weed.
Whoa!
I mean, if anyone in town is the resident weed dealer, I guess it would be Riker.
Whoa! Whoa!
Okay, this one we might be able to have a bit of a conversation about. What's your hot take on a very popular movie or TV show?
Whoa! Whoa!
I mean,
There you go.
the issue is that presupposes what I know is actually popular and not just what I like.
Whoa!
The only things that I know that are popular are things that I
Whoa!
also know that I like. Like
Big
Star
Bang
Wars.
Theory.
Whoa!
That's actually popular?
Yes.
Whoa!
I mean, this isn't a hot take because most people of my demographic, I'm pretty sure, agree with me
There
on
you go.
this, but while it clearly seems like it's meant to be set up as a sitcom to appeal to, you know, like the nerd geek demographic,
Whoa!
it kind of is much more of a mockery and kind of insulting. But that's not really a hot take because I'm pretty sure most of us have already agreed
Here
upon
you go.
Yeah, it is. It was advertised and pushed forward as a show for people who are nerds to enjoy, but actually it's for people who either A, think that they're nerds, or B, who think that nerds are funny. And it definitely had, like, it had an interesting premise on it, but then it basically immediately runs right into stereotypes. Oh,
And-
hey, you have this, like, geeky guy who, who has to be a complete pervert because no woman will want to be with him, and of course he's the one of the group that actually, like, wants to be with women, and of course he's an absolute perv.
Whoa! Whoa!
I
And you
mean,
have, like,
the group are, but yeah. I mean, there's also the fact that very clearly the showrunners were trying to make the one guy, Leonard, be the one that the intended viewership would relate best to.
yeah,
Like, he's supposed to be the protagonist.
main character energy.
And consistently, I found myself more relating to Penny than anyone else,
Yeah,
who initially was characterized as being basically just the dumb blonde.
she wasn't actually supposed to be, like, an ongoing character. She only became as such because the audience liked her so much that they're like, well, I guess let's keep using this Penny character. But yeah, if you watch the show, there's a lot of stereotypes that they lean back on. A lot of, haha, doesn't this person look weird? And it's like, it's a show whose, like, main characters are nerds who are kind of socially awkward, trying to, like, branch out and stuff and, you know, be in social situations. And it definitely has a lot of promise, premise, and potential
Here you go.
in what that is. And then they immediately throw it away to go, ha, nerds are weird. They can't socialize with people. Ha, imagine a nerd talking to a woman. Like, in one episode, the group brings Penny to the comic book store, and everyone just stops and stares at her the entire time she's there. Because, oh my gosh, a woman would never go to a comic book store.
Here you go.
Like, every comic book store I've gone to, like, yeah, no, people haven't stared at me just, oh my gosh, it's a woman in here. And then, of course, at some points they say, oh, well, when we say woman, we mean a real woman. Not like somebody's mom, but like, you know, someone who's actually hot. And it's like, So you don't want women to be around then if they're just women. You only want hot women to ogle. And so,
Whoa!
and then, you know, in the next scene they say, oh, well, why does this
Here you
dumb
go.
guy get the girl? I'm so much better for her. So it's like nice guys TM.
Whoa! Whoa!
Like if all... Like there is a big case of nice guy syndrome with that show, but since the guys are the main characters, it isn't pushed just how
Here you
creepy
go.
that is.
Yeah.
Whoa!
And like most people watch the show and think, oh yes, I'm a nice guy, TM. Oh, why would someone want to be with some dumb jock when I can recite, you know, 4th grade math to her?
Whoa!
And obviously a woman who's attractive wouldn't
Here you
understand
go.
4th grade math.
Whoa! Whoa!
So yeah, very... a lot of bad stereotypes.
Whoa!
And then the show writers like, well, see, this isn't so popular anymore. The audience wants this stuff, so let's just, you know, abandon our entire premise and
Here you
whatever.
go.
Instead of, yeah, it's not about geeks. It's about people who either want to make fun of geeks or people who think that they are geeks. But then they talk about, you know, just like the tip of the iceberg geekdom stuff. It's like, imagine a similar show, except like the main characters are all bronies, and yet over the entire 12-season show, they never even mention Derby, Dr. Hooves, Lyra Bonbon, or any side character.
Whoa! Whoa!
Essentially, like,
Whoa!
Here you go.
I mean, am I wrong for saying that it's...
Whoa!
That is a terrible show? Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
No, am I wrong for saying that,
Whoa!
simile?
Whoa!
Okay, it's like a
Honestly,
show
I
about
think
bronies.
the only issue is that the simile that you're using is just honestly isn't strong enough to really get the feel across.
Here you go.
The thing is, it's a sitcom. It honestly, the real demographic is, quite frankly, the lowest common denominator. It's
People
the
who are
average-
coming home after a long day at work and just want an easy laugh.
Yeah, they
So
just
they
want
can
to
try
see
to
it.
forget about their day for 22 minutes.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's like if they made a show where the main characters are bronies, except they're all like 600 pounds, bald, 40 plus years old, and all of their favorite ponies are members of the main six. And they only wear Rainbow Dash shirts.
Whoa!
Here you go.
And like, if you look around at Brony merch, Rainbow Dash is on most of it. Rainbow Dash is the most marketable one of the main six, and for some reason, Rarity is the least marketed member of the main six. You can find Twilight merch, you can definitely find Rainbow Dash merch, there's absolutely Fluttershy and Applejack merch, and Pinkie Pie is totally out there if you look, but it's really hard to find Rarity merch. Which is both ironic in that Rarity would be the most likely to try to merchandise herself, and also, Rarity merch is a rarity.
Well, don't you get it? They're trying to have Rarity basically be in character. She's the one producing all the stuff.
Whoa!
But she's not quite so conceited to slap her face on things as much as, you know, her models.
Whoa!
Here you go.
Oh god. So, One of the questions on this list is, if you could be invisible for a day, what would you do? And I remember hearing a thing where they had asked trans women, they'd asked, like, you know, a lot of people this question, but almost unanimously, trans women essentially had the same answer. So before I tell you what that was, if you could be invisible for a day, what would you do?
Whoa! Whoa!
Be invisible for a day? What would I do?
Yes.
Whoa! Whoa!
Yeah, most women had basically the same answer for this, and trans women had pretty much all the same answer that fell under that same category.
Whoa!
Here you go.
I mean, now is it that I'm just, you know, invisible the whole day, or can do it like at will? Because that
You
makes
wake
it
up one morning, you're invisible. If you put on clothes, they are invisible as well. Anything that you're wearing or holding, assuming that you can carry it yourself, is invisible.
Whoa!
Anything that you're wearing or carrying is also invisible.
Whoa!
And you know it's only going to be, like, just for the one day.
like the issue is like I'm having trouble thinking of anything that you could do that would be, you know, worth doing
Time to eat.
that wouldn't just be impeded by being invisible.
Time to eat.
That isn't just
Delicious.
straight up, I don't know, rob a bank or something.
Time to eat.
Because,
Time to eat.
well, first of all, first of all, not being able to be seen, yeah, people are gonna be constantly, you know, bumping. People will literally not see you, so you'll be constantly. You'll have to be a lot more vigilant moving around just to avoid accidentally, you know, getting trampled. And, anything that you would do that would require waiting in line, yeah, good luck.
Whoa!
Here you go.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know.
So,
Being invisible isn't a very useful ability, frankly.
so when asked, women mostly said some version of not be harassed by men. And trans women almost universally said some version of go swimming.
Whoa!
Which basically falls under the
Whoa!
same
Here we go.
category of not being harassed.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
And of course, the only thing I can think of, like, just, well, in response to the swimming thing, on the one hand, I get it.
Here you
On
go.
the other hand, yeah, swimming is not something that you want to do,
Whoa!
if you literally can't be seen.
Whoa! Whoa!
Because, yeah, if
Here you
anything
go.
happens, like, say, oh, I don't know, you get kicked in the head because someone swam past and didn't notice you, and you start to drown.
Whoa!
Well, okay, how well would invisibility work underwater? Because, yeah, they don't see you, but they'd see, like, the displacement space that you take up in the water. If someone's, like, sees the water and just sees a human-sized divot in the water with the sounds that sounds like a human
Here you
is
go.
in the water, how easy would it be to tell that there is potentially a human invisible in the water?
Whoa!
If they cared enough to pay attention,
I mean, if they're a lifeguard, they should be paying attention. Go during a time when the pool isn't really busy.
I mean,
There you
that's a
go.
time that you should go swimming anyways, invisible or not. But I don't know. I'm like I said, I get it, but that's one of the activities. Like, quite frankly, really, literally, what I would do if I was woke up and I was invisible for a day, I'd just stay home.
Here you go.
There is nothing that I could do outside of the house that I actually would feel safely comfortable doing. If if there's the risk of if something bad happens, no one will be able to see me until it is far too late.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say, like, just go down to, like, my LGS and, like, just start, like, go and play, like, card games and stuff. See people
Okay.
just, like... So, I mean, you can still talk to people. It's like, hey, can I join all you? And they're all just like, what? Who said that? Sure. Claire, is that you? Just sit down, just pull a deck box out of an invisible bag. It just basically just suddenly appears on the table. Cards swapping
Here you
between
go.
visible and invisible. Yeah, going down to the pool and going swimming, or just otherwise not being harassed. That sounds pretty promising. Alright, new question. You apply to be part of the adventures, but are rejected because your superpower is kind of boring. What is it?
Here you go.
I think the previous question just kind of already answered that.
Invisibility?
Yeah, I've said that before. Invisibility, like, in terms of functional, like, everyday usage, is really only good for basically criminal acts. I cannot think of a single thing that would be legal for a regular
go.
person to do that would actually be worth doing if you had the ability to be invisible.
Magic tricks. Find a buddy who is visible and do, like, magic tricks together. Like, pick them up. Actually, that is a good question. If you pick them up, and everything that you are carrying becomes invisible, essentially, person is just there in front of, a crowd of people, becomes invisible. You carry them over somewhere else, put them back down, they're visible again.
Yeah, I just have to say one additional thing, though, I guess relating somewhat back to the previous one, just with those sort of being the terms.
Here you go.
I can't help but think that trying to drive a vehicle, that vehicle would be invisible because of the way that you'd be using it.
Well, no, because you're not carrying it, you're just handling it. It's not like doors turn invisible as soon as you try to turn the doorknob. It would specifically be stuff that you are carrying, not just anything that you are holding. So, once again, a car that appears to be self-driving, and then you pass by an alien who goes, hey, is that car alive?
Okay, well then I'll just say this regarding your playing games. It's not like your cards will be floating in midair.
Yeah, no,
They'll
the
be
cards in my hand are
invisible, I suppose,
invisible.
until you play them.
Yes.
Which means no one would really... Even if people, were willing to accept it, oh, you're invisible, and blah, blah, blah. I don't think anyone would want to play because it would be way too easy for you to cheat. I'm not saying that you would be cheating, But if people are willing to accept that, oh yeah, you're invisible and things you're holding are invisible, they're going to believe that you're doing so intentionally and are cheating.
No, okay then. Do webcam magic and just make everyone really confused by what's going on. Webcam magic. Everyone just accepts that, yeah, it's stupid easy to cheat in webcam magic.
Delicious.
We just trust that people aren't.
Delicious. Time to eat. Time to eat.
Oh gosh, I just had another thought for the criminal acts you could do. Anything you're carrying becomes invisible. Just go somewhere and just abduct someone. Just pick them up, they go invisible, and walk away with them.
Also, another thing that I realized that would be, here's the thing. Here's something that is completely useless to you on the day that you're invisible. Your own
Here
phone.
you go.
I mean, you could still potentially use... You could still use it for calls, but it... And you could also use it if you, like, set it down and don't... Like, if you're not holding it, it's visible. Just set it down, like, on a table or something and poke it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not carrying
Yeah,
it, you're just using it.
Yeah, I just mean that when you're on the go and all that stuff.
Yes.
Or, like, in your pocket, it's just like, oh, your phone's ringing? I can't tell who's calling. How do I answer it?
Well, you can still feel it, so just feel around for approximately where the answer call thing would be. Or just quickly, like, crouch down to the ground, put it on the ground, answer it, pick it back up.
Whoa! Whoa!
Here you go.
Whoa!
I see you're full of energy.
Whoa!
Okay, here's a question that's not on the list. Do you ever... Did you ever get in an injury in school that, like...
Whoa!
Here you go.
Not like a minor thing, but something you had to basically go from school to the hospital for?
Whoa!
Did anything happen in school where you had to be brought to the hospital because of it?
No.
Whoa!
It has for me, at least once.
The closest there's been has been,
Here you go.
yeah, I think I told you about this before. When I was in preschool, I went to the office to report that one of the other kids had punched me in the stomach, and my parents got called because it turned out I had chickenpox.
Whoa!
Well then.
Whoa!
Here you go.
Yeah, that's the closest I've got.
So, I've had one instant of this, and one instant where I didn't go to the hospital for some reason. I know I've told you about the sledding story.
The sledding story? What?
Sledding.
Oh, sledding. Okay.
Really steep hill. I was the only one who wound up going down on a crazy carpet. Almost hit the base of my spine. Had a big old rash on my, like, lower back. Hit a frozen snowman so hard I flipped over it and knocked it over. And then had to limp all the way back to the school. But one day in school, I'm gonna say 5th grade. I think somewhere around there. I'll say 5th grade. It's probably 4th grade. In 4th grade, at the end of the school day, the bell rings, everyone gets up, I try to get up. Intense pain. Me just sitting there, zero pain whatsoever. I try to stand up, instant 10. Like, I put, like, any weight on my feet, period. Instant 10. So everyone else leaves. Teacher notices I'm still sitting there with, like, my bag all packed. It's like, are you okay? So I was like, yeah, it really hurts to stand up. So the teacher helped me to get into her chair that has wheels on it, wheeled me down to the office, and called my mom, so she was there to pick me up at the office. Brought me into her car, and we went right to the hospital. I don't remember the rest of the details. I know that at recess earlier in the day, I'd, like, fallen down on the playground, but I felt fine then. And I don't know what the diagnosis was. But I just remember just sitting there, oh, there's the bell. Go to stand up, like, no. Like, my body just said, no. And, like, I don't remember... Like, I remember having to go to the emergency room, but I don't know, like, what the doctors had said or any tests that they had done or anything like that. But I think, like, by the next day I was completely fine and going back to school, and, like... I'm sure this was a thing that had actually happened. But with, like, so little context around it, like, surely this wasn't a dream. But I also... It's just one of those things where it's just, I don't remember how that wound up. And my mom also has a bad memory, so if I asked her about it, I'm sure she wouldn't know what the doctors are saying, but I'm pretty sure it's because I fell on the playground. But, like, how long was I sitting in class? Like, I had walked into class just fine and sat down. Like, if I had had to go to the bathroom during class and I go to, like, stand up, or if, you know, we had to give presentations, or if, like, the fire alarm had gone off and I had to get up before then. Or if, say, I hadn't been in school and I had just been, you know, walking around and stuff, what would be the switch between everything is fine and, oh my gosh, make it stop? If I had been standing and, like, just standing at the time, would I basically just collapse? Like, what happened to make the pain come in hours later? Questions of the ages, I say.
Here you go. The moon is risen, and I feel her pull.
Yeah, where does Viper sleep?
Here you go.
Yo!
Aw, Viper's in the bathhouse. I can't keep giving him turnip dishes. I got it. Anyway. A lot of these icebreaker questions are kind of boring. A lot of these are so... Some of them are interesting enough to talk about, but oh well. So anyway, in the context of stuff that's been going on lately, we started watching Gravity Falls. That's a surprisingly good show. I say surprisingly, and I feel like I have to clarify why I'm saying surprisingly. It's an old show, and I thought that it would have some sort of like a feel of like a rather dated show. Like, you know what I'm saying, right? It's like 12 years old. I feel like it would... I thought it would feel like a show from 12 years ago. But, like, it kind of doesn't. Wait, it's just me here. I'm all on my own again. I almost feel like we could have had an entire episode just touching on the Big Bang Theory. Probably wouldn't have been hard to do. Yes. It is the most surface level nerddom ever. And then they have Penny as like... So like you said that Leonard is supposed to be like the audience stand-in, the person that the audience like relates to so much.
Yeah, Leonard is supposed to be the equivalent of the everyman, with the other characters being the more exaggerated and more extreme stereotypes.
I almost feel like Penny is actually supposed to be the audience stand-in, because like whenever something happens where like the average person might not know what nerdy stuff they're talking about, they have Penny in there so they can explain like, oh, who is Stan Lee? Sort of thing. And have her not understand things to a humorous level. One, so hey, they can get a cheap joke, haha, Blanche doesn't know who Stan Lee is and thinks it's just one word, Stanley. And two, hey, in case the audience doesn't know who Stan Lee is but is watching a TV show about nerds, we can explain, yeah, no, Stan Lee's the one who made the comic books. I've told you, I've actually seen Stan Lee in person before. I wasn't allowed to get a picture, because getting pictures were like $100, but I did see him in person.
I never got the opportunity to, but that's okay.
It was back in 2016, there was Comic-Con in Calgary, and I went, and my aunt had invited me down for a day. Yeah, invite me down for the weekend so we could go there on one of the days. I'll never forget it. Because of the whole, a town started going on fire. Basically, while I was in Edmonton, the whole fire happened, and, I didn't go home for about 8 months. And I had packed enough stuff for a weekend. So that was an experience. As far as experiences go. But yeah, so Penny's there to like stand in for the audience so they can explain things that, hey, maybe the average person wouldn't know about. Leonard is there to be like, this is what the... Yeah, if there aren't anyone who fancies themselves to be a nerd, but also trying to be cool. Or it's like, oh, I'm too smart to be cool,
Time to eat.
sort of a
Time to
person.
eat.
Oh yes, of course the hot woman doesn't like me. I'm too smart for her. She doesn't understand things like the Hulk. She needs me to explain everything to her. Again, very stereotypical show that tried to do cheap humor on a regular basis. It has been established
I
that
hope it comes out okay.
character Sheldon never forgets anything. He has a perfect memory, and yet he still forgets things from time to time.
Watering time.
One very notable example is in one episode, he states to Leonard,
Time.
"Oh, if I ever invented a time machine, I would just go back in time and give it to myself," thus making conversation about the time traveler's paradox. You know, just the writers can be all like, "See, we're nerds."
Your
Of
big
course, nerds
star,
would badly
okay?
have conversations about time traveler's paradox
Your big
and stuff, and
strong,
think that they would
okay?
invent time travel and blah blah blah. But in a future episode that's a flashback to when Leonard was first moving in, part of the roommate agreement that they had signed, that was done as a joke on that episode, was, if either of us do invent time travel, we'll come back in time to this very meeting in 5 seconds. And so Leonard signs it, and then they wait 5 seconds, nothing appears, and they say, "Oh, shucks." And that was done in a future episode, so the writers, of course, would not have any knowledge about it, but it was a flashback episode. So in the lore of the show, Sheldon had already told Leonard that they have an agreement that if they had made time travel, they'd go back in time to show themselves. However,
You're big and strong, okay?
then when Sheldon presents this theory to Leonard, some years in the future, Leonard thinks, "Oh no, that wouldn't be a thing that you'd be able to do at all." And sure, Leonard forgets about what's on the roommate agreement all the time. That leads to some of the humor in the show, that he forgets the things that he signed because, oh my gosh, there's apparently so much stuff that's been signed.
Watering time.
But Sheldon wouldn't have forgotten because he's not supposed to ever be able to forget
Big and
anything.
strong, okay? I hope it comes out okay. Watering time.
Yeah, you can tell the show is bad because I don't nitpick like this on shows that I like. Because the show that I actually like, I will nitpick in order to explain what other people consider to be plot holes. So speaking of shows, sitcoms made to lowest common denominator, how do you feel about the show 2.5 Men?
Eh,
I hope it comes
man,
out
I
okay.
remember watching that show, and I think I stopped when, but I wasn't watching, like, you know, all the time. It kind of like with House. A lot of the time, I watched it because it was what was on, and
Time to eat.
at some point, I just kind of stopped watching it. I think that might have been when,
Time to eat.
when they got rid of Charlie Sheen and put in Ashton Kutcher, of all people.
You're big and strong, okay?
Yeah, the show, again, episode
Hope it
1,
comes out okay.
really interesting premise, and they really,
Watering
like,
time.
flesh out the characters and make them interesting and engaging to go with.
Watering time.
But then, for whatever
Hope it comes out
reasons,
okay.
they decide
hope
to
it comes out
amplify
okay.
all of the characters' worst traits, probably because it was funny in the moment to do so,
Watering time.
until eventually all the characters are just the worst possible versions of themselves, and it's like, cool, why do these characters want to be together?
Watering time.
And then, of course, yeah, Charlie Sheen they decide to fire him from the show, and so,
Watering time.
like, well, okay, well, how do we have a show without, you know, one of the main characters? If the kid playing Jake had left, they could have explained that. In fact, they kind of did, because the person playing Jake was angry about the show, possibly for portraying his character to be getting, you know, incredibly stupid over the years. I don't blame him for not liking that. So they shipped off his character to the military. Just to bring him back every once in a while. For the sake of, hey, yeah, look, here's that kid character, he's still dumb. But like in the first episode, he wasn't dumb. Like, okay, he didn't have book smarts, but he was clever. And then it's like, nope, nope, too dumb to live.
Nice.
Audience likes it when the character is just too dumb to live. I'm not saying they should have turned his character into a savant. But like, what, episode 1, he was able to tell one of the other people's, like, poker tells on his, like, first time playing against them. And win against poker against, you know, a group of grown men. And it's like, you could have kept that up as the character. Like, yeah, oh no, he's failing school, but also, like, you know, running some tricks around and succeeding in other ways. But no, just completely dumb.
Nice. Yes.
Because that's what is funny. When a character is so incredibly dumb that they don't even sometimes realize when people are talking to them.
Time to eat.
Or what words are. Or, hey, maybe I shouldn't tell my friend's mom that my friend has weed.
Nice. All right. Nice.
But nope. I feel like that's part of... I feel like that there's some sort of irony there in why, like, shows made for children are better than shows made for adults. Because shows made for adults will treat their viewers like idiots. But shows made for children don't always treat their viewers like idiots. I mean, in fact, a lot of kids' shows treat their viewers like geniuses for being very simple, all the same.
I'm not sure which of those Dora the Explorer is. At the very least, they make Dora look like an idiot.
Okay, so, I mean, if you take, like, average, you know, whatever person, and if you had, like, an adult tier show that was similar to Dora the Explorer, that, you know, made the viewer feel smart for understanding obvious things, they would probably prefer to watch that over something like, I don't know, Big Bang Theory was like, oh, you didn't know that at some point a few decades ago they put, like, refractors on the moon, so if you shine a laser on it, it'll come back? You must be an idiot for not knowing that. It's like, oh, well, I didn't know that, so I guess I'm an idiot. Versus, like, hey, did you know that people have been on the moon? Or something's like, hey, if you look at the planets out there, you can kind of see Saturn. Do you see which one Saturn is? Yeah, it's that one with the rings. Of course, the trick to all this is you have to make the audience not think that they are being treated like idiots. Because then you go right back into the problem again. You have to make them...
Time to eat.
Like, I've been watching House lately, and there are occasional things of something will happen. But it's like, oh, House, you know, opens up a document and starts reading it, and everything's all, like, intense and stuff, and I'm just there like, what is that document? What does it say? He walked into his office, picks up a document, reads through it, and the music gets all tense, he's like, oh! It's like, okay, what's the document? Like, I understand early in the episode it was stated that House is waiting to hear back from, like, so-and-so about a thing. Is this good news? Is this bad news? He's just reacting like it's news. It's big news. But he's not, like, looking happy or sad, excited or dejected. he is just in shock. And it's like, I don't know if it'd be more shocking for his character to have something, to find out that it's something good, find out that's something bad, or maybe it's something completely different. I don't know. You did a test to see if he has cancer, and he's reading in shock. Like, it could be, it's like, oh my gosh, I had all those signs, but I don't actually have cancer, or, oh my gosh, I actually do have cancer, or, oh my gosh, it's actually lupus! And so, of course, I feel dumb, because, like, yeah, I can follow the episode when it's, you know, more or less spelled out, but then it's like, oh, this is a moment that's shocking. It's like, okay, what's shocking about it? It is shocking because it is shocking. And it's like, okay, do you want to elaborate at all about what you're trying to say
Time to
here?
eat.
No.
Time to
Just
eat.
take our word for it, but this is something big.
Time to eat.
Because reasons.
Time to
And it's
eat.
like, well, I guess I have to just follow as you say. So I sure don't know what you mean. Whew. Gosh, we talked about sitcoms all episode. Any last things you want to say before we end off this episode?
No, I can't think of anything.
Cool.